on NBA Today, he's back. What Kevin Durant's return tonight means for a Nets team looking to claw back into the race. And James Harden made his home debut for the Sixers last night. Wait till you hear what he said about the Philly crowd after the game. Plus, LeBron said the Lakers aren't 12 feet deep yet, so Perk and Chiney will look at the West playoff picture and predict who gets in. All that and more, all today on NBA Today, starting right now. Welcome into NBA Today. I'm George Sedano in for Malika Andrews alongside Chiney Ogumike and Kendrick Perkins. We start with some major news out of Brooklyn. Let's dive right in. Nets star forward Kevin Durant said he will play tonight against the Miami Heat after missing a month and a half because of a sprained left MCL. Durant has not played since getting hurt in the Nets game back on January 15th, a win over the New Orleans Pelicans, and will obviously provide a huge lift for his team that went 5-16 in his absence. Without Durant on the floor, coupled with the trade of James Harden and the periodic absences of Kyrie Irving, the Nets have slid to 32-31, 8th place in the East. FYI, the last time the Nets were in first was January 22nd. Let's hear from KD now.
I feel energized. I feel grateful for the opportunity to play. Sucks being out and not being around the team and not going out there. I felt bad not being able to help and contribute and try to turn some things around for us, but get an opportunity tonight and hopefully moving forward where I can inject what I do into this team and hopefully provide some good results. Obviously, I know I can go out there and help, but I didn't want to hurt myself even more trying to go out there and be a superhero, just to be out there. But, I'm glad that I was able to get some time to work on my body, and the training staff did a great job of, working with me every day. And now I'm here to just see where I'm at after this game and just keep building.
All right, Chiney, let's start with you. The second KD steps foot back on the floor, does he regain the status of best player on the planet?
So I like to give players that are coming back from injuries some grace, a couple games to sort of find their rhythm. And most importantly, when you're a shooter, find your legs, right? Because your legs on your shot is exactly what you need. And that man is just an easy money sniper. So I would say I like to give him some grace. But what we do know from KD is anytime he steps on the floor, he's automatically top of the top when it comes to players in this league. So that injury, acclimation back to playing in a time period where right now playoff teams are trying to establish themselves with how they finish out the season. It may not be the easiest circumstance, but we know KD can do it. And I'd like to finish with this. He has the #1 usage on the Nets roster so far this season when he plays. So he's going to have the opportunity. It is a home game, meaning Kyrie is unavailable. So you can imagine that they're going to continue to look for him. So yeah, KD has always given us evidence to know that he's going to ball whenever he steps on the court.
Well, I don't know about the best player in the NBA, but I believe he's the best thing for the Brooklyn Nets.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? So because of the position that they're in. But here's the thing. That part of the rest of the interview, at one point he had said he still feel pain. And so that bothered me, but for the simple fact that I don't know if we're going to get that KD that we saw come off the Achilles injury. I think right now it's to the point where he has to play through pain because of the position that the Brooklyn Nets are in. So do I have doubt that he could go out there and drop a 40-piece? No, I don't have doubt because we're talking about arguably the greatest scorer to ever touch the damn basketball. But that one part of the interview where he said he still have some pain, that raised the eyebrow for me.
Yeah, and I think we might even have these numbers. I mean, so far, with KD, they're 24-12. Without him, they're 8-19. And I think we're at that integral point, and this is it exactly there. Look at the win percentage, hovering around 30% without him. They have slid. We talked about it, Perk. When KD played, they were #1 in the East. He's seen them slide to where they could be in the play-in and, hopefully make a push for the playoffs. But, at the 8th seed, he knows now is the time to potentially have to put his team on his back and play through not being 100%
and then, of
based
course,
on those numbers.
The challenge here, look, is a tried and true theory. The biggest predictor of future injury is past injury, right? The body starts to break itself down some, and I think that becomes a bit of a challenge. And how do you manage that? Because he may have to play through pain for a long time moving forward because of all the injuries he's had.
And think about this for a minute, George, that the playoffs for them really has already started.
Yes.
Exactly.
Like, they're fighting to get out of the play-in tournament for the simple fact that they don't want to go against a team like the Atlanta Hawks with a Trae Young that could light you up on any given night and send you home, or a rising or surge in Charlotte Hornets. So KD knows the importance of actually getting out of this situation. But here's the thing, too. They have to come out and play playoff basketball. And it goes back to what Shanae said about those legs and what you said about the injury and things to that nature. And you heard him say it again on the interview. I want to see, well, we'll see how I feel after the night and go from there.
Yeah, it's going to be wild to see. Let's talk to our pal Nick Friedel, who joins us here now, who was at shoot-around this morning. So, Nick, Durant set to return tonight against the Heat. What's the feeling around Barclays, and what's the feeling around how many minutes he could play? Is there going to be a minutes restriction?
George, there's not going to be a minutes restriction. They're going to be in constant communication with Kevin. They're going to make sure he feels comfortable. And I want to really speak quickly to what Perk just said. Kevin said he was feeling pain during the streak. That's why he didn't come back. I think he's pain-free now. That's why he was being cautious, taking some extra time, because he knew when he came back on the floor, he had to come back at really close to 100% because they needed him so much. But the key here is the emotional lift he's going to bring. This team needs him desperately because they know what he can do from a scoring standpoint, but they know how much space he creates for everybody else. It was interesting the other day, I was talking to Seth Curry, and Seth was telling me he's been texting Steph about what it's like to play with KD, because this will be their first game together. Andre Drummond was laughing the other day when somebody said, hey, what do you expect from Kevin? He said, what do I expect from Kevin Durant? He's going to make everybody better. So this is a team that knows the presence that KD brings, and they're hopeful that he's going to hit the ground playing at that same level starting tonight and in the last 6 weeks of the regular season.
All right, Nick. So Durant had some comments on Ben Simmons, his newest teammate. His return is still up in the air, but what were Durant's thoughts on Ben?
He said he's in a really good place. And, George, that's important not only because of what happened in Philly, but it's the same message that's been coming out of this Nets organization since the trade went down. Everybody you talk to, players, coaches, people around the team, when you say Ben Simmons' name, they say he's happy and he's ready to roll when he comes back out there. Now, the key to this is Simmons has a little bit of a back issue as they've been trying to ramp him up. Sean Marks, the Nets GM, just went on an interview with Yes, the Nets television partner, and he said, we don't know when Ben's
to work here.
I mean, like 4 guys in the paint can't stop him.
Yeah, I mean, he split 2 defenders there at the rim, which is crazy. Now Drew Holiday getting some work, but Giannis with the cleanup.
I think they've done it collectively. The big 3 from the Milwaukee Bucks. That's how they got out of that hole.
Yep, Holiday hits the 3 there.
Oh, man, look at the divide right there.
By the way, Miami had done a great job, as they traditionally do with Giannis, through 3 quarters. They generally do a great job with him overall. There's Tyler Hero with the shot there.
Yeah, 30 piece.
To extend the Heat's lead. But Giannis, the 4th quarter was incredible. 13 points last night, and then the big turnover there by Tyler Hero. And Chris Middleton, a 3 in your face.
Money making
Middleton.
He may not come when you want him, but he's always on time.
So 1-point game
Always
here.
on time.
Here comes the inbound. This is the second attempt at an inbound.
That's a foul.
Yeah.
But look, how bad do you want it? We talk about playoff basketball starting now. How bad do you want it? Look at both teams on the floor.
Yeah, but you can't tackle a person in basketball.
Eric Spoelstra not happy about that in the postgame as well. Here's the tip. So here it comes. Drew Holiday. Again, no Kyle Lowry in this game. Out for personal reasons. Gabe Vincent has to cover Drew Holiday, and he gets the bucket that gives the win.
He was the X factor in the championship run, and he was the X factor down the stretch last night.
So the Heat try one last heave here with Hero. Short, and Milwaukee comes back and gets the win. Incredible stuff there by the champs. So here's how it went down the last 6.5 minutes or so, or 6 minutes and change of the 4th quarter. Milwaukee outscored Miami 21-6, held them to 3 field goal attempts and 4 turnovers in that comeback win. So Big Perk, let's start with you. The Bucks are the champs. They got the win in a close contested battle against a team that they have certainly had plenty of battles with.
Yep.
Is this the Eastern Conference Finals matchup?
No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm still rolling with the Heat and the 76ers. I mean, just think about what the Bucks had to do to actually get that win last night. And when I say that is because I get to that point later, but this is why I got the 76ers, those two right there, James Harden and Joel Embiid. Do you see it?
Yes, sir.
I mean, when people thought I was crazy when I said the
it was
best.
you and me both.
I know the best duo since Kobe and Shaq. I didn't actually mean Kobe and Shaq, but I meant for as a guard and a big, that dynamic. We haven't saw that in a long time since Kobe and Shaq.
Okay, you said it on First Take to Stephen A. I said it on First Take to Stephen A. This has potentially the possibility to be the best 1-2 tandem in the NBA, and so far it's delivered. I know it's been a 3-game sample size.
And they played the Knicks twice.
And they played the Knicks twice.
Hold on, George.
But.
Let's slow down just a little bit, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, yes, we got to slow our roll just a little bit. But if they keep at this pace and they play well against tougher competition, you can see Philly potentially making a run. Also, you don't want to count out the Bulls as well as they get healthy as the season progresses. I mean, look, it's the first time getting them all together, but I do think that it's not a 2-team race. It's more of a 4 or 5-team race in the East.
Yeah, but George, this is what I want to tell you. Everybody keeps saying about they played the Knicks twice. This is what I want people to realize. Before James Harden got there, the 76ers they beat the Warriors, they beat the Bulls, and they beat the Bucks. And so when you think about adding a Harden, that just makes their team that much better.
And can we also-
The only thing that we want to see is them have to face a little adversity in a possession-by-possession game in the fourth quarter to see how that two-man game is going to work when it matters the most. That's the only concern I have as far as them together.
And remember Richard Jefferson, I know he was working the game last night, but Richard was like, we have to see James Harden is going to take away from Embiid. James Harden is going to take.
That's how he talk.
That's how he sounds in my head.
talk.
Oh, James Harden is going to take away from Tyrese Maxey. Well, guess what? Guess what? Boom, boom. Sorry, I'm sorry.
That was a pretty
I'm
good
not sorry.
Richard, I got to
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
I'm sure Richard will fire back on his TikTok somewhere.
Oh, gosh, there it goes.
Still to come on NBA Today, does Philly all of a sudden have a big 3, though? How Maxey makes Harden and Embiid go. Plus,
Talk about
is
it,
Bradley Beal about to secure the bag? We'll ask our panel if they would offer Beal the Supermax. Some news to get you caught up on there. And get the crystal.
I just knew for a very long time this was a perfect fit.
I've really never been wide open like this in my life. So you got to make a decision. Do you stay on me or do you stay on them?
We're overly confident with the group that we have. We all have something to prove, or we have one common goal.
Welcome back to NBA Today. George Sedano back here with Janae Ogumike, Kendrick Perkins, and now joined by the host of the Hoop Collective podcast, Brian Windhorst. We're 3 games into the James Harden experience in Philadelphia. Let's dive right into the highlights from last night's game against the Knicks. Harden making his home debut. Sixers trailed by 7 at the half, but in the third quarter, they turned it around here. You'll see Harden finding the big fella
Ooh,
right
I like
down
that.
low. And one.
Easy work.
That pick and roll goes crazy, and I love how the defense scrambled thinking he was going to shoot and then dished it last second.
Next possession, Harden collapses the defense, finds Embiid for 3.
I mean, look at that space shooter at a center position.
I mean, it's only a few guys, and James is one of them that put that much pressure on the defense.
Harden drives to the finish here in the fourth.
Daddy ball.
Sixers up 10 there.
Oh.
Too small.
8 minutes to play. Tyrese Maxey. Step back, young man.
That man has been hooping.
Come on
Not
now.
Hooping, hooping.
Under 4 to play. Sixers up 10. And Maxey,
Ooh, show
watch
and go.
this. That young man's got it in his bag right now. He is feeling it. And what a great young man he is.
And he hit that move twice, by the way.
Yeah. Then, of course, off the Barrett miss, Harden, full court pass to Thibault.
And this is when, watch this play. Look at how happy they are, how excited they are for each other. Thibault went and high-fived Doc Rivers. The tide has turned in Philly.
Yes, it definitely has. Through 3 games for sure, they are 3-0 in the Harden era. The 76ers, let's take a listen after the game.
I've been through a lot, whether as you talk about, freaking GMs using burner accounts, talking trash on their players. I've always thought that I will always have like one coach for the rest of my career in Coach Brown. And obviously you change, and I've seen so many players. I remember my first 2 or 3 years. We had probably over 80 players in 1 year, like just guys coming in, guys getting cut. Like it's hard. It's hard to keep that culture, so I wouldn't say it's all about me. Obviously, I've been here the longest, and I've been lucky enough to keep going through trade deadlines and not getting traded and all that stuff. So.
And he mentioned GMs sliding into people's DMs and all that stuff that went down too. So the Sixers have come a long way since the process, as you heard there, Joel mention. So, Perk, does Joel Embiid get enough credit for enduring it all?
He does. He should get more, actually. Like, he trusts the process, stuck through the process, and stuck through adversity. Like, during that time when Ben Simmons didn't want to report and didn't show up, he said, you know what, I can't worry about him. I have to go out there and lead these guys that I have in the locker room with me right now. And I think the way he did it is not what you do, it's how he did it. He did it in MVP form. He's until he made Philly look attractive like eye candy to James Harden to say, you know what, let me get over here with the big fella.
Brian, what do you think?
George, he signed a $200 million contract extension last offseason. He finished second in the MVP voting last year. Right now, he is the favorite, although it's a narrow favorite over Nikola Jokic to win the MVP this year. You can't say that you've got a supermax and you're going to win the MVP and say you haven't got enough credit. He's got enough credit. Now, the question is, now that he's got this teammate that fits so well with him, can he win at the highest level? Because they've been close but haven't done it. And so I think Embiid is gotten and earned everything that's come his way, and now they had an opportunity here to do something that he was brought to Philly to do. All those players, coaches, GMs, and all that stuff ago.
No, Wendy, I can't let you off the hook with that one. Listen, when we talk about giving him credit, we see so many superstars around the league that's complaining and whining and crying about the situation. We didn't hear a peep out of Joel Embiid. Like, we just got to embrace what he's done for the younger generation. Like, out of all the guys,
he leads the league in leads the league in Twitter and ripping guys on Twitter.
Yeah, but
he subverts
he's toned that down
all the time.
But I'm saying though, if we look at the direction that guys have been going in for us, how we know the owners are going to be waiting on guys at the front door for the CBA. Joel's the prime example of stand pat and not messing it up for the next generation. It's how he has handled the situation in Philly is what I'm looking at.
Which is why he got $200 million and maybe the MVP in a couple of months.
All right, we can agree to disagree. That's fine. All right, and by the way, shout out to Tyrese Maxey, by the way, who's balling right now, as we mentioned. 25 points a game since Harden came into the fold. But let's stick in the same division. Another team, though. Let's talk about Bradley Beal, who spoke with the media for the first time since his injury. He was asked about his current contract situation. Let's take a listen.
You said, as far as I know, I'm here. Is it fair to say that, you're leaning towards re-signing?
It's fair. It's fair.
Okay. I mean, fair, sure. Had to think about it a little bit. I mean, I'm not turning down approximately $250 million. So, Brian, we'll start with you. If you're the Wizards, is it a no-brainer to give Bradley Beal the max?
Yeah, and the decision has probably already been made because before this trade deadline and before he went through this surgery, there was meetings with Bradley where they had to seriously consider the future. Now, it is against the rules, Mr. Sedano, to come to an agreement on a max contract like this before he becomes eligible to sign it because he's going to sign a new deal this summer. So officially, I'm sure it's not decided, but when Bradley Beal had that trade deadline in his future and had to decide on this surgery, he was deciding whether he wanted to be with the Wizards, and since he's still a Wizard, I believe that's what's coming.
And one of the hardest things, as a player you have to reconcile with is, am I going to be stuck in a place where maybe potentially I'm not going to be able to deliver a championship based on, issues of the past, whether it's player personnel and just, that's one thing that you have to decide for your legacy. The only thing that counteracts that is the money. And, his loyalty to Washington and that area, I don't think is questioned the same way Damian Lillard's loyalty to Portland is not questioned. I just think it's at the point where do you want to take a discount to go chase a championship? championship or stay somewhere you know and where you've continued to grow. That's the hardest position that he's in. But like his demeanor, like it's fair. He's not letting y'all know.
See, and this is the part where I jump in and say, forget those championships. Go get all the letters you possibly can. Because look, we get caught up in the moment, and although it's entertainment to us and to the rest of the world, it's a job. And we all know, as a former player, those years go by quickly. And I always told guys, as a vet on the team, look, get as much money as you possibly can. Never pass up on your letters. So my advice to Bradley Beal, you got $246 million in front of your face, and it's on the table, you better sign on the dotted line.
Yeah, and by the way, we have already seen this past offseason where Ben Simmons was traded with 4 years left on his deal. So if for whatever reason he isn't content in Washington and signs the deal, he then can get moved. We have precedent. Now, I'm sure the owners around the league don't love to hear me say that, but we do have a precedent already. All right, Wendy, we'll be back with you in a little bit, man. Thanks for hanging out. What's that, Perk?
I'm not done with Wendy.
Okay, you're not done with. Well, Wendy will be back. We'll talk to Wendy more in just a moment. But still ahead, Big Perk looks at the bottom of the West. Who climbs out and who's buried? And also some Zion news as well there. So make sure you stick around for that. Plus, the WNBA on ESPN schedule is out. So many marquee matchups, but
about playoffs and adjustments, you have to know Pop is going to find a way to try to limit the opponent's best player. And then DeJounte, like you mentioned, has had a sensational season.
As long as DeJounte's back in the lineup, they should be competitive against almost anybody.
Absolutely.
They have a big matchup against the Lakers early next week as well.
Yeah, that's why they 5 feet, not 12.
Okay. Now let's talk about Portland here. Is it RIP for Rip City, Perk?
Yeah, and you know what? They 27 feet.
27?
Yeah,
Good Lord.
And look, I love what Chauncey Billups has done for us going through all the obstacles and circumstances for us, trading a lot of his veterans. The young guys are playing hard, but look, teams have caught on to Portland now, and they're starting to lace their shoes up and play them hard.
True.
And the reason I have them 27 feet is because of Anthony Simons, shooting that tray ball. So, I feel all that, but they're 27
I was wondering,
feet.
it was like Anthony, was it Dame, trying to come back?
The three-point line is 27 feet.
But there is a bright spot. Anthony Simons, he has the second most points from last year to this year. That jump, that increase behind one by the name of Tyrese Maxey.
But they
carry on.
Man.
Anthony Simons, by the way, my most improved player this season is what that's if I had a vote.
Okay.
But if the Blazers don't make the playoffs, they get to keep their first-round pick, which is certainly important when it comes to the organization. All right, Perk, let's move on to the New Orleans Pelicans. But, there could be a possibility of a Zion return. So I spoke to the Pelicans because I had that game where we saw Richard doing all those funny faces just a few moments ago. And I spoke to the Pelicans front office, and I asked them about a possible return for Zion. Now, he's had 2 ramp-ups that did not necessarily go well. Obviously, there were some setbacks. And then they said, we have not ruled him out. We're going to try to ramp him up one more time when he gets back from Oregon. And we have not ruled him out for the season just yet. So just so you know that, Perk.
Well, just know this. Even without Zion, I feel like the Pelicans are above ground.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I'm showing them love. I love what Willie Green has done. And yes, I've been beefing with the Pelican fans for over the last 2 weeks, and damn it, I ain't going nowhere, okay? But listen, when I look at what C.J. McCollum and Brandon Ingram has been doing, it's been nothing but short of amazing for us. That duo and that tandem, Big Jonas Valanciunas down there banging down low.
Big man still alive, Perk.
Handling this business. So they're above ground. They're a dangerous team right now.
And why I like this team, the Pelicans, is CJ is one of the best one-on-one off the dribble, and B.I. has become really good at the mid-range as well, and using his length and frame to get his mid-range off as well.
And CJ is welcomed leadership for what is still a very young squad.
Yes.
All right, Perk, your pal, LeBron James of the Lakers. What's the story there?
Pop it up. Pop it up. Where's that? There it goes.
7 feet deep.
Yep, 7 feet deep. They 7 feet deep because they're missing a 7-footer by the name of Anthony Davis.
Okay.
And in order for them to get out of this, before they reach 12 feet, like LeBron James said, they need Anthony Davis back. Look, LeBron could put up 30, and they're still losing. Why? Because of the lack of production from the others. That's why we see LeBron body language, and we see him being frustrated. So until they get that 7-footer back, they're going to be 7.
Yeah, and lack of, consistency from the others as well. You don't know who's going to step up each night, which sometimes that's good, but for the Lakers, that has not helped their case. But you know what's interesting when it comes to the Lakers? I mean, you mentioned it. They could find themselves in a situation where they have to win 2 games to make the playoffs. Yep. Well, you can't count LeBron James out of scenarios where they can make the playoffs. Yep. But I agree. 7 feet, they need AD to make that push.
He said 12 feet.
He said you're okay. You're higher than he said. All right, so Perk, we need a prediction now. Big game. Lakers, Clippers. Does LeBron have to deliver the performance of the season to keep them afloat? They have lost 6 straight to the Clippers.
I think LeBron James goes out tonight and dominates in fashion. Listen, LeBron, we go back like 4 flats on the Cadillac.
Hey.
7th grade, okay?
Hey.
Don't disappoint me here, but I think he goes out a man on the mission. We know anytime, majority of the time, LeBron James promised something, he delivers. You know that, George. Stand with me on this.
Yeah.
LeBron James is going to have a fantastic night, legendary night tonight, and get this win for the Lakers.
Speaking of legendary nights, I remember because I was there for it. It is the anniversary of his 61-point performance. That's a great segue by you. You are a professional, Perk. 8 years ago today, masked LeBron went off. The Heatles took care of business against the Charlotte Bobcats. He had a career-high 61 points, 22 of 33 from the field, including 8 of 10 from deep. Man, I won't forget that game, Perk. What are your memories from that game?
I mean, the fact that he scored 61 with a mask on. I don't know if anybody ever had to wear one, but I did because I broke my nose a few times. First of all, I wasn't a scorer, but the fact that he did it with that mask on, it doesn't show up.
It gets all humid and muggy in there, but he was locked all the way in.
Yeah, and it was the black mask, which was different. Most people wore the clear masks back then, so it gave LeBron almost like a Batman feel, especially with the movie now.
Right on time.
Yeah,
on time.
So, all right, maybe. All right, let's keep it moving. We just talked about teams at the bottom, so it's time, obviously, to pivot to the top of the top from last night's action. First up, top enthusiasm. Take it away, Eric Collins.
Mobley. Rozier in the trees for another tough rebound. Oh, my goodness! Miles Bridges! Are you kidding me?
Deflected. Hornets have a 2-on-1. Terry.
Miles! Yes!
Glorious two-man basketball.
Eric Collins, the play-by-play man extraordinaire of the Charlotte Hornets. Him and Bridges are a heck of a duo on these games.
But you see why I'm saying the Brooklyn Nets need to stay away from this team? You see what I'm saying?
All right, next up, top, no look, Markelle Fultz. He's back and dropping dimes. This one to Wendell Carter Jr. for the and one.
Oh, I like the unselfish nature.
Nice little spin-off with the dime. And look at his teammates' reaction.
Yeah, bam.
You got to
like that. You have to finish that.
And I like Orlando's future. They got a good collection of young players there. All right, next, top, precision. B.I. Brandon Ingram shot 11 of 15 in the first half last night, and all but one was a swish. He finished the night 15 of 19 for 33 points, Perk.
You know what's crazy is that when B.I. first got drafted, Rondo and the Lakers came down to Houston, Texas. We went to dinner, and Rajon Rondo told me, watch out for Brandon Ingram. He will be a future all-star. He has elite mid-range game. His jumper is pure, and we're seeing that right now.
All right, top, bounce.
You know what it is.
Jalen Green. H-Town, running the floor,
highlight,
flushing a two-hander, and then getting the huge chase-down block here. Watch this.
I just want to know what was that energy in the dunk contest.
I know. This was a game, though. This was a game. I mean, the Jazz are on a roll, but yeah, let's talk about the Rockets competing. But, I mean, the Jazz, come on. Rudy had 27 and 17, Donovan 37, but these are nice highlights.
He's starting to play a lot better now. There's a reason he was drafted so high, for sure. All right, still to come. Get your popcorn ready. The WNBA schedule release. And Janae takes us through all the marquee matchups and what sparked her interest.
Oh,
next.
I see what you did there.
$1 million worth of